some of the loss that we're seeing, ethically, it never should have been income for the nation. It never should have been the supporting GDP, because it's like narco money, right? So what's happened is the narco money's gone underground. People that are criminals are no longer openly traveling to the United States. So I'm not telling you everybody that stopped coming to the United States is a criminal, but a certain percentage are. Years ago, my mother rented, now it's my brother's condo, but they rent the condo every so often. So she rented to a guy who wanted to pay in cash. And my mother said she had her, she had her, she wasn't sure what that was. She thought maybe it was a Goomba, right? Right. So we have that kind of thing going on, and we had it going on. And what happens is you ended up sacrificing all these people to drugs for the money. So everything, all that fabric is no longer there. Economic fabric, right? Because that's who that's your country. Your country's your people, right? So you had all these other countries just coming in and selling drugs, prostitution, whatever had money. It's out of control. So Trump's right, and his people were right to try to reestablish the industrial part of the United States, because the only reason it went by the wayside is because these sellouts began, accepting narcotics distribution as a means to an end of wealth. Right? And it didn't mean that they were selling drugs, but they were. Well, this volume's up a little. Let me turn this down. But they accepted narcotics proceeds as a way to get somewhere. So one of the things that we just discovered, or I discovered, and I passed on to you, is the way we handle social media with moderators has to be the way we handle AI. So why that wasn't in there from the beginning, I don't know. So as AI and all that begin to take jobs away, there's obviously oversight jobs that are needed. Now, I don't know what that trade-off is, but right, what number of moderators is the right number. But that's a clear-cut statement that should have been forwarded to moderators. And I'm sure she made other statements prior to that should have been forwarded to moderators. Right. And then they can call the local PD or get the FBI or whoever, and they call the local PD, however they do that. Right. And then they make a visit. Thank you, Larry. Oh, believe me, the deep state used similar methods, not necessarily AI, but it used similar methods to try to destroy me. Right. False people, catfish. Right. First it isolates you, then of course you go online, right? And then they're online waiting to manipulate, right? And sexualize and everything else. Thanks, Larry. Right. Yeah, trying to push me into massage. It might be a setup, Bruin, but we'll find out when we get there, right? Right. Oh, yeah, Santa Fe. I'll tell you, New Mexico paid for that. Believe me. They don't want to tell themselves the truth. That's their problem. Thank you, Lance. No, biblical correction is occurring, but it's not always biblical correction because within New Mexico could have been innocent people that were still being killed by the deep state, right? Again, that's what I was trying to tell Trump in the first administration. That New Mexico income, that's heroin income. their business isn't up. But I mean, they're going to stroke Trump so nobody can touch their money now. Because, this is all income from Trump's economic policies. I think it was like almost impossible for it to happen that fast, but it was like a scam. Just say it's, give the credit to Trump and they won't be allowed to investigate it, right? New Mexico is famous for money laundering. Correct. Thanks, sir. It's almost like a family business. So it's just, you only have 4 years. So if you wouldn't have been sidetracked by some bullshit artists in the first administration, we would have been on time, on target, and you'd have had your second, and we probably could have got somewhere. Right. No, Mexico's on the radar screen. It's just a matter of, I guess if and when, but it's more when than if. So certain things are developing, right? So the time crunch on tariffs and everything else is what's screwing everything up. You don't have the luxury of slowly introducing. Right, you're trying to get everything done, and some would say it's like the Chinese would say that's one of the faults in our system, one of the glitches in our system, that your president's going to be out, and then, but the Chinese are actually responsible for it because they're the ones that put the polarization in there. They're one of the groups, right? Without the polarization, our government kind of worked because we, give and take, and we move through certain things. The Democrats have to realize that the immigrant problem is a major problem. Right. It was very lucrative. The whole thing that they were doing around immigrants. Right. So again, Well, in a lot of cities, you won't get elected unless you accept that corruption. Right. We have to change that paradigm. Thanks, like Mayor Brandon there? If he doesn't accept it, he might be out anyway. So he got it. He'll fight you. Right. It'll be a nobody then. Right. Thanks, Larry. So I got my lawnmower battery charging. Something told me to pick the other lawnmower, and this one had like a scratch on it. It's like, see, I couldn't get to it. Like a shove. God's not in power on this planet. He's not in vogue, and that makes him not be in power. And then the church will go, oh, yeah, a lot of people don't go to church. No, it's the church that's causing the problem. Right. And again, there's a lot of Presbyterian and Methodist churches up here, and maybe they have some level head. I haven't seen a level-headed, non-corrupt church in decades, so. Thanks, Larry. You call politics all you like. Still corruption. As I was saying about Chicago like 8 years ago. Right. So things are coming around as far as it looks like there's going to be some moderator positions opening up here shortly. And it's a large number, a very large number. Right. So I don't know who, when I Googled, who's responsible for oversight on AI, and it kind of said, multiple entities, but not really anybody. But the White House is developing policy, so that's why I sent it to the White House. All right. No, there has to be an oversight moderator board. Right. Great. So things are starting to move a little bit as far as, like I said, we have to find the next big thing. And again, AI was part of that, but right, not everybody can work in AI. Right. Or as that part of AI. So one of the next big things is AI moderation. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, sir. I don't believe there should be allowable encryption, personal encryption where, oversight entities can't get in. However, I don't believe the government should be corrupt where you would want to do that if you're an honest person. Right. 100% right. So. Well, what I'm hoping in Venezuela is just, the people rise up and that's it. I mean, we may take a little bit, but eventually, right. But we have to get rid of, now El Salvador has to clean. Something went wrong there. I don't believe that 100% in the liberal Democratic Party, the narco narrative, right? But, something went wrong, whatever it is, it needs to be fixed, right? 100%. Right. Agreed. Well, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right. And when you look at, CIA, trying to get something done in the world. On a CIA, and I don't just leave it out there as CIA in general. Good. Thanks, Larry. Well, this is the problem: is people don't fix things. Right? That's the way government used to be. Just when you find it, you fix it. And now it's like, whoa, what political party are they part of? Is everybody paying to take them out? Right. It's all because that's corruption too. Right? You can't remove corruption with corruption. But we know there's a certain group of people that want to topple Maduro. But again, you just have to you have to tell the people in Venezuela that this whole drug thing and all that, it has to end. They have to realize that it's passé. It's not lucrative. It'll kill you or get you killed in the end. Right. 100%. And I guess, the Colombian perspective has always been skewed. As a correctional officer in the 90s, a lot of people that were the Colombian, early narcos, were in our prison. And, the one guy, he says, I'm a businessman. I have a business back in Colombia. I was just selling a product that your people, you all wanted it. I sold it. It's your fault. All right. Thank you, Larry. So again, they have a skewed perspective on that. Again, they have sex trafficking that's legal and all that. In fact, I was trying to marry somebody to keep her out of that, but again, the deep state got busy. Right. No, it's sad. I mean, I'm sure I'll meet her in the afterlife for whatever it's worth. We almost pulled it off. It's a rescue. Both of us needed a rescue. Right. I felt she was a little bit young, but I'm totally alone, have been totally alone, except for my crazy mother that they made crazy and they manipulate. Right. What the hell is that? Get under there. It's like a crack in there's like space between the vinyl flooring and the cabinet. So I got to get in there and clean it a certain way. Thanks, Larry. Well, as far as speed, like we don't want to own Venezuela. Well, we don't want it to be what it is, right? So as far as speed of finding the end of the narco tunnel, right, and getting to the light, Venezuela is a faster option than Mexico. And again, we can develop policy there. Again, we just want a different government at this point. Again, the idea that you put people in and this happened and that. Well, we didn't put the narcos in and that happened. It was worse than even Pinochet. Right. So again, it's the same idea. Like, why would God create religion when all these people get killed by religion? Well, at this point, I think God's just about given up on religion. But once upon a time, the number of people that would be saved, future projection. So the number of people that would be helped and saved in the future projection that God ran was greater than not having religion. Not to say religion never did any of that. Right, cost-benefit analysis. Right, so religion, as far as cost-benefit analysis, worked. Pinochet was probably cost-benefit analysis also. Right. Which means, yeah, it shouldn't have happened, but there's probably less death than would have been without it. So again, there's working with flawed people, flawed planet, only so much you can do. Ignorance reigns supreme here. Ignorance and greed. Well, I kept warning about certain scenarios, and I guess they were kind of real. Right? There was something going on in El Salvador, and I don't know what the boss knew. Okay, I can't tell you what he knew, but what it was trying to do. Right. Again, the idea like we're gentlemen, criminals, that kind of thing. That rears its ugly head every so often. But we're a better alternative for the people. We don't kill people. We just deliver their narcotics and they kill themselves. That kind of thing. Right. Right. You're not going to get the right perspective from Colombia. I spoke to a few Colombian women. I studied the culture a little bit, from here or from Florida, and it's just everybody has their place, and part of the place is you're the drug addict. I mean, right. Well, I think his opinion is that they're just poor people being taken advantage of by narcos, but not every poor person in Venezuela is hopping into a speedboat and transporting narcotics. They're not even looking at it. Why? Because they don't want to go to hell. Right. Correct. Now, I mean, it would have been great if me and that woman got together. I mean, I don't know if she would have left me after so many years here or not, but probably not, because I'm a great husband. Right. And they know it. That's why they don't ever let me near a woman. Well, they know it would be a done deal. Now I'm getting older, but still, I'm still a great person, a great husband. Right. You wouldn't think that was in the United States, right? It's been, oh no, there's no backstory to it. They're pieces of shit, and they'll go to hell for it. They create the backstory, even if it isn't even real. It's the backstory, right? Yeah, I'm trying to get somewhere. A little bit cool here, but I knew the timing of my move wasn't 100%. I wanted to be out of here sooner. It'd been a better summer here. So it was saying also that at the tail end of the winter, like right now, it's cold enough to just get rid of all the allergens, right? And soon it'll be really cold. And then when it hits the springtime, it's none of this February, March craziness. It takes a little bit longer for it to amp up, and it's not as bad, the allergy seasons. You'd think because there was more trees, but it's not. Right? I suspect there's even a low mold content here compared to a lot of other states. And whatever they say, you can't believe. You know what? You know who releases the mold information? the realtors. The realtors will get in the middle of that, and they want to sell a house. Grass. Like I cut it like one time before it won't grow again. But I got to cut it down. I was going to pay somebody, but I just couldn't get to it. Like again, I'm still blocked up, and you can only get to what you can get to. So I forgot it was Friday. I thought it was Thursday. Times flew this week. I have to get to the Ark. The Ark's actually done. I need to get my computer set up in here to the side of my Surface Pro and my big screen television. And that's how so tonight I'll do not a full thing, but there'll be probably two types of lighting. There'll be the Rafa, which is the healing, and then the Shabbat. It's traditional Judaism where you light extra candles for a specific purpose and reason, right? Including if you miss lighting candles for Shabbat. Right. And you can do LED. It doesn't matter. Like what happens is there is the idea of using oil lamp, using menorah, all these type of things to enhance the mitzvah, but the good deed, quote unquote, kind of thing. Right. But it's not necessary at all. Again, it's relative to your place in life. If you're homeless and you light a match and say the prayer and it goes out, Hashem probably gives you greater credit than anybody else on the earth that would observe Shabbat. We had 2 million homeless and just took 2 matchsticks and lit them and said the prayer. Hashem will give you that much credit. Give you more credit than everyone else. Right. See, that's how it really works. Again, widow's mite is Rabbi Yeshua ben David. That's what they're blocking, from me going into religion. They don't want that kind of thing in there. That's, because it doesn't worship the billionaires and millionaires that pay them to be corrupt. I'm not against money. I'm not against economy. I'm not against capitalism, but it has to be capitalism. This is bullshit what we got here. This is like Sovietism, right? From both sides, right? I agree. So I got a ton of things to light. I got the pods and everything. As a matter of fact, this is probably what I'll do. I'm going to mop this little section over here just to make sure it's clean. So I did receive I'm beginning to receive Q from the trash people here, the trash collection disposal people, and They're telling me how to get rid of certain things, so it's starting. So that's Pennsylvania, and they'll get credit for that. Like people actually think they're thinking through it. Oh, I'm such a genius. I just thought through everything. No, you didn't. The system did. Right. Now, your lives aren't better. You just have more monies. See, you made the anti-system all. So it takes away from people that don't have. And anybody, of course, that you directly target. No, because they're idiots because they don't have. I mean, it makes no freaking sense. They know they're taking away from people. And they know that's why they don't have. Right. Satan actually pays them to take away from people. But they put that system into place. If you fight that system, then that system doesn't exist anymore. Then you get back to the idea of receiving for mitzvah versus for evil deed. All right, so this is for the television. Let's roll that in there. This is the two-piecer. This is the two-piecer. I have a one-piece one, and this is a two-piece one. I don't know. I interrupted some sort of meeting in the office here. It was like bad timing, but maybe good timing. I don't know. They had Cheshire Cheshire cat grin on when I showed. I had to ask him what kind of donuts they wanted, but I couldn't get to the answer. I was trying to get, what would they prefer, a local donut shop or a, major donut shop? So I got to some of the maintenance workers, but I understand the cops might actually confiscate it as grooming evidence. They'll let them know if they're safety for consumption. Yeah, safe for consumption. Next time he gives you donuts, go ahead, keep them. And call us for a couple if you don't mind. But it's so actually you laugh, but some of it's like that. It's like, oh, he may stop. Security and gave him my photo. That's how sick this is. But yet they start rubbing elbows with famous people through that. Right. Just because Larry's going to stalk them. I've never stalked anybody in my life. I've been stalked. I tried to figure out who one person was, or not really find out who was, just say hi to her outside of the deep state controlled environment. But it ended up being the deep state controlled environment because I saw the cops follow me around. They were trying to get me to stalk somebody, but it really isn't stalk. It's the same thing as, it's not really, well, actually, that's even worse. Even the Latina James, or whatever her name is, case for stalking is actually better than anything they've ever had against me. and that's kind of bullshit. Well, it's a family member, because you're going to get a bunch of jury. You got to get it past the jury. First the judge, and then the jury. Right? Well, they're going to go, who hasn't freaking rented to or anybody with money who has somebody who's kind of, and I don't want to say the black sheep, but somebody that's kind of down their luck in the family, you help that person out. Right? Well, she shouldn't have to say it's income property because she's helped. She may have purchased it even to help that person. The initial idea, right? Instead of her being on the welfare system or whatever it is, whether she qualified or not, I don't know. Right? Nah, it's all bullshit. The whole thing. Now I was drugged. I'm telling you right now, I was drugged. So were the others. Sorry. But, so I asked one of the workers, and of course, I got the correct answer from them. I just don't know how many workers, because I just saw a new guy. So I have to figure out how much to spend. I usually get $30, but I might have to spend more this time because I think there's a couple of other workers here that I know about. Right. I think once a quarter. The unsung heroes of where we live as renters. Right. Yeah, there's a couple things in here that they should change. Like the built-in pantry is a genius idea, and then they don't have to buy as much cabinets. Now, of course, somebody might want more cabinets, but cabinets are a pain in the ass, I think. Right? Because if your wife freaks out and takes the door and goes, now where am I supposed to get another one of All right. So, well, I wouldn't say the economy is on track for anything. It looks like it's going to be a mess, maybe. But 3%, I'll tell you what, 3% interest isn't anywhere that we have to be too concerned with. Well, because you're so there is what's called the margin of error there, right? It's built in. You can be off 3 or 4%, so easily. So it may actually be holding steady, and it's going 2.7, 2.8, 2.7, 2.9, 2.6, 3%. All right. But again, people get greedy too. And if they believe they can get away with inflation, then they will. Or they'll try it at least. 100% sure. Now I got to figure out which television goes to that stand because I have the mount on the back. Now, they're both generally about the same. I didn't mark which one goes to which. Have to figure it out. Well, I should have removed the stand or the mount, I guess. So that'll go over here. And I don't get that. Why they put curtain rods everywhere but the 2 spare bedrooms? It's only 2 more windows. Right. I had to actually check the other listings to see if they did the same thing on the other ones. Doesn't make any sense. It's like 65 in here, and I'm like, woohoo! I would be like 71 in my apartment. I'd be like, yeah! It's freezing in here! All right, so we're gonna get some things lit here. Yeah, I give donuts for sex. There's never been any proof of any such thing in the world about me, but they use it every time on a new community. Oh, you give me donuts, that means you want sex. He's grooming you. I guess that a first-year FBI guy could have the entire agency up on racketeering charges. That's why I think it's a sex cult. That's how they do it. They get them compromised, So we can get this shofar to play. That's my half polished, half unpolished. It's pretty good, right? I got shofars everywhere. Hey, look, it's a shofar. What do you think you should do with that? Hashem's suggesting I should buy another 9-inch mezuzah, but I don't know. I have to put a camera in over there if I do that. I should have got that furniture I was going to get. I was getting the blue one to look good outside. Last night I got, because they're blocking while I'm purchasing, so I can't see. So they unblock that because they're blocking, so they didn't unblock it, but they're blocking something else. So it was slightly unblocked. And I'm looking, I'm like, the blue cabinet would look great out here. They have like deep maroon, like a deep red, deep maroon, burgundy shutter. Right? And then the blue, like red, white, blue kind of deal. Right. Because I have white on the railings. Right. It would have worked pretty good. And they were like overnight delivery, but they got in the middle. Well, I have my camera out there, and it's like on this. It's on my other like computer stand. It looks like probably shitty. First, I had it on like a laundry, and this is the weird part. I had it on a laundry basket, like a real nice one that I have. It's just average, but it's nice. Got wheels, and it's the bag, the vinyl bag in there, and all that. Right. But I left that out overnight. Came out there next morning, and there was mouse poop on top. So, it smelled something, but usually it doesn't poop unless it's eating. So I don't know what it was eating, my clothes. I don't get it. Right. Who knows, there were some crumbs in there or something. So there's mice here. To cleanse the environment of the evil. But I'm trying to make it look a little better out here, so I wheeled one of my TV stands. I was hoping to get an overnight delivery. I couldn't get to it. I mean, I can see it, like you can't see it. Like you're dealing with this too, but again, it's not at the level that I deal with it. I mean, so let me figure out which television here. Nah, they were doing it to crooks too. It just broke his mind, I mean, they're responsible. You can't, like, their whole thing is, well, he committed the crime. Well, it's his fault. Right. Meanwhile, they tortured him to it. Right. That's really what it is. Excellent. His mind was not so. That's why you don't. That's why you look at it and go, because it's not there. It's all mind possession. Right. Could have drugged him and everything. Do you have a favorite restaurant that he went to? That he goes to all the time? Do you make reservations for dinner? Even fast food. They'll put a person in there. They're experimenting with this stuff. They get off on it. Right. They're sickos, man. See what they can make people do. I mean, when you're multimillionaires and billionaires, what do you do with life? Well, you try to own everybody, I guess, is what they do. Right. And that includes owning the mind into crime. Again, the scripture says that rich people are evil. It really does. So again, if you're a rich Christian, I'm very confused at how you exist, but that's nice. I mean, the tape was almost already removed. Maybe it's this one. The other one's the tape is real tight. So let's see if Hashem was able to steer me in the right direction. Thanks, Larry. With witchcraft too. They got some pretty heavy witchcraft around there. When I fell the other day, I'm like, crooks. They got crooks this way. All right. Now, I was afraid the mouse was down in the basket, laundry basket, so I emptied everything out. Right now, you can use a power bank for a security camera. Generally, the ones I use last at least 12 hours, but every 12 hours you have to flip it. Because if you plug it in and the power goes down, it'll cycle the battery or cycle the camera because it has a split-second miss, which I don't know why. It probably costs them 10 cents to put something in there in China that doesn't do that and makes it like a UPS, like a little power bank UPS. Right? But they don't do it. They want to sell you something at 10 times the price. Like the power when it's transfers to charging to, I mean, because it's still it'll still has pass through charging, but when it hits that point when the AC power is disconnected, or the charging power, should I say? It's actually DC, but the AC adapter is unplugged, or it turns off. Let's say the power went down. It has a split second where it blips the power, and then your camera's reset. So your camera has to boot back up again, and then of course that would allow somebody to move into your premises. I have two full UPSs, but I don't want to run those. They're so freaking big and heavy. Right. I mean, I could put one in the cabinet when it gets here, because I'm buying that cabinet because I need a tall cabinet to put first. I'm going to build a mount on the side for my doorbell cam, and then at the top I'll probably have a mount for my stalker cam. Like, I've never owned a camera that stalked people until now. This shows you how my life's rigged. I mean, or anti-rigged. And this is the only place I've ever lived where it says you can't stalk your neighbor with cameras. I'm like, what? I just bought a stalker cam. But I don't stalk people. For some reason, it's not working. I said it, and who knows? They might be hacking it. I don't know. But it had it like wouldn't go past a certain point, but now it goes past that point. So in other words, it looks at my door, looks at my porch, but it can't like stalk my neighbor. The new cameras will stalk people. Again, AI. I didn't do it. AI did it. The way it's pointing anyway, you can tell I'm not stalking anyway. It's pointing at my door, but it can pivot. So if somebody, it's not going to stalk somebody on the sidewalk or anything like that, but it could end up pointing towards the sidewalk, or not. There's no sidewalk here, but the road. And if anybody walks past the road, at that point, it might follow them. But it's like, 1 in a million. Because what it does is if you come up to my door and then you leave, it's going to watch you leave. And then a certain point, it will reset, but it's not like instantaneous. But there's a second camera that's it's part of the whole system that watches the door without moving. Well, 65 seems a little warm in here, I'll tell you the truth. Whew. I'm roasting in here. Let me turn this thing down. I called my brother in Florida. He's like, "I got joy, we're moving in." What are you on the Venezuelan operation? And I guess he's moving his stuff back. He just got his place repaired. He's like a multi-millionaire. That was the apartment my mother was going to give me. I'm like, yeah, right, Mom, sure. If you sell it, you share it with your brothers. You want to live here, fine, you live here. I knew it wasn't true. It would never be true. She told me I was so much shit. I'm like, oh, okay. I love you. I'm so glad you're all okay, Mom. 5 minutes later, get out of here, leave. Meanwhile, I got Naples sheriff following me. I get paid to do it. Probably all got nice waterfront homes or apartments and condos or something. Right. That's how they do it, man. 100% corrupt. They don't care about narcotics distributors as long as they pay the right people. Right. And sometimes the DEA doesn't even care as long as they pay the right people. Right. No, if you're an employee, it doesn't mean you run the agency. So they used to bank on the employees doing a great job, but it's a lot less nowadays. They just kind of force this idea of the bullshit narrative. Years ago, it was, they bank on people like me doing great work. and then they bring in new people and kill me, you know. I guess they did the same thing with Bettman, Doug Bettman, right? I didn't even know what great meant when we got the greatest district. Right. The marshal came out and handed me mine specifically because I was on sick leave. I think somebody drugged me. Right. Yeah, probably Shelton. Sicko woman. Black Widow. Mata Hari. Where'd you come from? In here, I guess. I gotta get rid of this bug. Well, I'll tell you those, what are they called? This bug's cold. I don't have an absolute infestation, but they do show up. Show up in my car. I'm like, okay, you rode all the way here from Kansas, huh? Prepare to die in the freezing weather. It was in my television box. There was one that was in the cold and it was already stagnant. Oh, it was nasty. What they did is they harvested the field, and as soon as they harvested the field, like last year, it got real bad. So they had like an infestation. And as soon as they harvest the field, they all run off, and they start hitting all the apartments that are around there. It was like a cornfield. So as soon as they harvest, it was like, eh. Right. It's not like bad. It's like one here, one there, but. Right. I understand they can actually get up into like the attic and stuff like that, and then like infest an older home. You know, generally in older homes, right, where it's been around for a while, right? Or it's not a sealed building. No, as cold as I drop the temperature here, they'll start moving around, right, until it gets real cold, right? So I would see them because they'd be seeking warmth. It's the first thing they do, right? That's where they end up in the house. A lot of times they start seeking warmth, and then they go into your house, and then you won't see them again until until it's warm again, right? But like if you turn the heat up in the house, they'll moving around. Yeah. Now there are some stink bugs around here, so it could come from. But it's even worse with those other bugs. What are those things called? Lamp bugs or lantern bugs. You know, those things are these are nasty. Like over my storage unit, it's really bad. Right. But they're about ready to be exterminated for the season. All right, so I have to look at this television and figure out. Say it's not one. Give it a try. See if I can do this. Well, the planet's skewed because if you go to the higher power and the higher thought, and I'm not condemning anybody for eating meat or not being a vegetarian, but the planet, there's no way for this planet to actually be an acceptable planet because of the death on the planet, the level of death, predatorism. And, I mean, you think God would create a place where you have to eat another living being? There's a story. There's information that I put out on how God actually, what's actually going on here and what God has actually done here. Right. It's different than what you all understand. Again, God's a hostage negotiator. The communication on this planet isn't the best. But as far as from this divine on in, right? So, well, it wasn't specified by God, but God's energy was used to create it. Because again, we're looking at best case scenarios of what God could do with the place. Right. Well, God turned this into a gateway back home. There isn't many gateways back home. So maybe this isn't it. Well, Hashem, I think you missed. So if you want to think, okay, so God's not here. Where God actually is isn't here. Now, everything around you is made of God's energy. Right. But theoretically, the person of God is not here, but could manifest here if God could. Again, there's things that block it. So if you look at quantum leap, again, God created quantum leap to help people get me understand how God exists around us here. So the communication isn't perfect, right? And the understanding, again, I don't know if in that show, I watched it a little bit. I didn't watch it religiously or anything, but it's probably one of the last television shows I ever watched a little bit. All right. I don't even know if I watched it all the way through or not. I watched it enough to know what quantum leap is. Put it that way. So I think in some of it, the communication was fouled, and they couldn't explain something perfectly, and right. Well, I can explain it like this. So, okay, say you're like Marilyn Monroe, whatever her name was before that. You're Madonna, Tina Louise or whatever her name is. What was Madonna's name? I forget. And then you become Madonna. It's the same thing that happened to me, but like I'm not famous like that, Right. Well, I mean, when you look at past this planet, I'm actually doing better than Madonna and Britney Spears and all those people. And again, they're not bad people, and they're not like, I don't think they're absolutely condemned to hell in any way, shape, or form, especially Britney. She's disabled, right? And in fact, Britney's blocked from getting with men she's supposed to get with. I'll tell you that. I know that. It's a scam. It's an ivory tower scam. Her guys are, but again, she did get with a guy that wasn't as wealthy and all that, and took advantage. So again, that makes her not want to go anywhere to look for a guy. Again, I don't think she's capable at this point, 100% to do that, but it doesn't have to be me. I just know that there's everyday people that are supposed to be with Brittany, and they can get her out of that funk she's in. Thanks, Larry. Well, they have to be someone intelligent to explain a few things to her, and then she'll go, oh. Right. She has people in her head, but she. Like a hurricane. Yeah, I can feel the energy. It should be able to come on. Just start, like Scotty when he has that thing, that slider, just slide it up a little bit. But again, it's like the deep state. They commit so many crimes that you just can't feel comfortable walking away from it. Agree. Now we need to get rid of the narcos. I mean, you have to understand, again, you all have a requirement too not to do harm. So you can't, it's like with Trump, well, if I liberate people and stop the drugs and, you can't barter with God like that. But, you know, this is part of God's work in that on this planet right now is this vibration of narcoism, which includes many forms of death, including slow death via narcotics addiction. Right. Thank you, Larry. Well, that's what's messing up the system also. Well, we're not the only existence. And they'll end the planet. Thanks, Larry. Again, some of the scripture is confused. Samael, the angel, is not Satan. If he ever was, it's not now. Right. He's part of it. Well, he takes on the luminaries. Thank you, Larry. It's that simple. I was woken up. God was part of what woke me up, but there were other things here to talk to me. Right. Well, it's the same thing. They watch us, and and they can, they're psychic, so they know, the thoughts of my heart. Right. It's just like the woman I was just talking about, the Allegheny sheriff there. The thoughts of the heart are pretty. Thanks, Larry. She's probably somebody who was probably on this planet to run something big, and you all killed her. You have to answer to Hashem. So when you know why Hashem let that happen, where it was actually the other one that I needed to open first, because I never would have got to setting up the second television for like another month if I didn't pull it out like that. Good, I should have said that in my hair while I was studying. It would have been set up for months. I bought two relatively well-priced televisions that really do produce a nice. The trick is not to go big screen if you're not going to go high resolution. But if you get a 4K, that's about, I don't know, it's a 40-inch or something like that. Actually, I got a boxes over here. I got to see exactly what size it is. Well, it starts distorting if you got to go 8K, and then of course you got a computer has to be 8K. All that, right? It's 43-inch Ultra HD 4K Fire TVs. The Fire TV screen. When I looked, and I guess it was a Toshiba, but when I looked, the Fire TV screens look, as far as low cost, pretty much look the best. And I mean, what kind of definition do you need for word processing and, broadcasting, the images and video and sound and all that. He just got me with something. I gotta do a quick fix here if I can. That should work fine. That's nice. So we got somewhere with that. I got to do it for. So again, like to you, you're not God, so you're not seeing what's happening. It's like, why am I doing all this work? So I can do the prayers at Shabbat. Right. So again, like, thoughts of somebody's heart, what their actually intentions are. It doesn't matter your effectuations; it's actually the intentions. See, that's where these evil rich people are like, well, look at my effectuations, but it's not that. Correct, sir. Thanks, Larry. It's like the widow's mite is, again, for Jews, the New Testament is very important, but you have to read it like a Jew. You can't read it like it's not even a goyim. Just like a heathen. Heathens developed the religion away from what it was supposed to be. Because, so this is one of the ideas is like, why, they say, well, why all of a sudden are we talking about this? Are we talking about that? In Judaism, this Kabbalist, the rise of the Kabbalists, the enlightening, where did that come from? Well, part of it came from Yeshua ben David. Because some people were just Jewish and they followed some of his teachings. Because he taught a form of Kabbalah. Thanks, Larry. No, it was actually Judaism. Now, I'm one that speaks about greater works shall you do, and I did a study in greater works shall you do. What does it actually mean? Well, it means greater works. It has to be greater works to be greater works. You can't self-define it greater works when it's not. Right? And that's where we are in generally the church. Right. Well, to be a devil and to cause the need for charity and then to monetarily donate to that charity doesn't make it a greater work. Again, you're not going to admit that you're doing that in any view. But right. Thanks, Larry. You're evil because you want to. Well, we're not going to go there. Right. How does this work here? This goes here and here. So this to go over here. Right. Trying to figure out how this thing works. Okay, so I put this. If I put it like that instead of this, I have to put it like this. Right. Oh, I see. The screw was going in the wrong way. I'm like an ape. Can't figure it out. What's really funny is they'll stalk me and call me Raven. And again, I don't know whether somebody just went around saying, this is Raven, and get people to call me Raven, or they're part of it. Right. But if you saw last night on that video, they were the Ravens. So paybacks are a bitch. Entire countries will fall. Entire nations will fall. Well, we have to cut off your income, all of you. And your income is based on narco income, even if you're a federal agent, because you're on the takeover. Thanks, Larry. I mean, a lot of things won't be what they were, but we're not going to let people, get all screwed up and have terrible life and be addicted to drugs just so you can have a little few dollars. Like even some of the influencers are paid by narcos, even ones that you wouldn't expect. Again, some are paid by their spies. Again, a narco will hire a spy PI and then never talk to that spy PI again. They'll just make them. And then they're in investments. They got $1 million. Once you got $1 million and you're not being killed by the deep state, it's very easy to make 10 million. Right. So by the time you're 40 years old, you got a couple million. Right. And the person that paid you never talks to you again, but you're supposed to do certain things. When Larry Moore shows up in your community, you're supposed to kill him. But then you go to hell. I mean, even if you're 10 years old and you got to wait 90 years to go to hell, you're going to go to hell. Thank you, Larry. So if we cut off the narco money, a lot's going to change just based upon that. So I'm also watching that. All right. So again, I'm not too alarmed at the economy. I just don't want inflation to go over a certain point, and that's where those tariffs could have triggered at least even just the evil thought to raise the prices and just blame it on the tariff. All right. Again, you could be iron-fisted with those people, and nobody would care. I would force them to lower the prices. Right. Thanks, Larry. Well, I mean, it's pretty selfish. I mean, I don't know if it's going to have anything to do with my life, right? But let's see if we can get a generation of people back to a normal life where you have at least a small percentage of narcotics use, not this crazy use, right? And again, crazy use, you can watch somebody just disintegrating before your eyes. And of course, there's narcos out there laughing, driving to our computer. Yeah, you get nothing, bitch. Right. 2%, Larry. So, hopefully end all that, or at least diminish it. No, you have a lot of politicians on the take globally. That's some of what comes against Trump. That's why I'm so, angry when he does something stupid, because, it gives them juice. Right. Right. Although sometimes I'm angry just to see who tries to recruit me to do some harm to him or Elon or someone else. Right. But I think I'm burned on that one. I don't think, at first I thought like they're just so bold, and they are bold and they don't give a shit. But I think part of it was AI, and AI couldn't figure out that I was playing it. Right. Once I discovered how stupid AI was over the years on certain things, again, it's just like the absent-minded professor kind of deal. Right. So like, wait a minute, it doesn't know I'm playing it. Right. Come on. So there is AI there to try to recruit, that would try to recruit crooks. Now somebody put it in place. I don't believe it just invented itself. Again, the problem with Elon is when he does the Taylor salute, the question, we know they exist, we just don't know who they are. But then again, he could be somebody that's being manipulated by AI to appear to be one of them. Again, right, Putin there? From my perch, I can only see so much. Right? If I actually could look at, go out in the cyber world at the Cyber Command and CIA, I could figure a lot more out. And that was the whole goal, was to keep us out of that stuff so we could figure out what they were doing. Right. Now, once upon a time, again, somebody like me, once upon a time, again, I'm not this super criminal that they play, but even if I was, it wouldn't matter. CIA would just go, okay, you hired that guy. And we need him. All right. But the idiots took over. Again, they were working for the Soviets and everything. Right. Whether, it's it could be some 80-year-old grandmother who used to work for the FBI, but, she gets paid by the Soviets and had been paid by the Soviets her whole life. Right. During the Cold War and everything. Right. See? But now she's a missing exploited children. She comes in and says this person, that person, and that person do. And you all know the truth of it, right? Right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Where's my... So they cursed me from buying. They're so mad. I ended up, like 7 months ago, maybe even a year ago, I think I started trying to buy a duster. So I finally did get it, but now it's gone. Where'd it go? I need it for my television. So the television's on track to be hooked up there, the monitor screen. And then I just got to get all the computer. The computer's pretty easy. I mean, here it is. I got it hanging up here. Of course, I got it where it's supposed to be. Pull up the OXO one. But Pennsylvania gets credit for that. Been trying to get a duster for quite a while. There is a benefit for not being them. Well, if you haven't figured it out, at a young age, I was into Pink Floyd. Right. I wasn't in the beginning, I wasn't a Led Zeppelin guy at all. I just was kind of like this Pink Floyd guy. I think for my bar mitzvah, I got Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album. So again, Us and Them, I understand the song, but we do need to delineate at times as to what's going on. Right. I mean, there was a time when Us and Them was very important to try to neutralize. But again, once we move forward of a certain point, and what they try to do is try to say it's the same as it's always been, but it's not. Right? It's much worse. It's a nice duster. Nice duster. Got those hooks on the shelving here. Really do appreciate the closet space. I'm afraid to use it though. It's all new. If I use it, it won't be new. Right, let's see if I get my TV plugster in. Because they don't even call it TV. Yeah, if I tend to use old terms, I haven't had a friend in like 20 years. I mean, they really did that. Monica, I was somebody I helped. It wasn't really, I tried to be friendly with her, but it just wasn't real enough to, or she wasn't stable enough for it to be, so, right. I think she might be dead at this point or in prison, one or the other. Right. Yeah, they did it. They really did it. They used PSYOP on her. So she ended up like that. I'm sorry. What do you think they did? Santa Fe, they put us on a hit list. Right. I was already on hit list, but they put us on another one. Right. All these community or narco communities. I mean, you're not fooling me. Just because you arrest a few people,